Forget what you learned in history class. I want you to think about history not as a story, but as an operating system. It's the code that runs our entire civilization, defining everything we think we know about our past. And today, we're going to run a diagnostic on it.
What if that timeline, the one we all take for granted, isn't just a little off? What if it's fundamentally broken? We're not talking about a typo here. We're talking about a massive glitch deep in its source code, written centuries ago.
So who were the original programmers? Meet Joseph Justus Scaliger and the astronomer Johannes Kepler. Back around the year 1600, they basically got the job of writing a universal chronology. To do it, they used the stars as a master clock, linking historical events to eclipses. They wrote the foundational code for the operating system we still run today.
All right, so let's pop the hood and audit that code. The moment we run modern calculations on their system, we hit a wall, a huge anomaly. It's a variable called delta t, and it's our first big clue that something is seriously wrong with the system.
So what exactly is delta t? Well, in programming terms, it's a patch, a fudge factor. You see, the raw data from ancient eclipses, it just doesn't fit the official timeline. So, scientists have to jam in this variable, which basically assumes the Earth's spin changed in all these weird, unpredictable ways, just to force the code to compile without errors.
And look at the scale of this so-called patch. This isn't some tiny little tweak. No, the delta t correction can literally move a calculated eclipse thousands of kilometers across the face of the Earth. What you're looking at right here is an eclipse that should have happened over the Atlantic Ocean, being dragged, kicking, and screaming all the way over to Greece just to make a story fit.
And here's the real kicker. Even with this massive, clunky workaround, the system is still fundamentally broken. As the historian Adamant points out, over 80% of the ancient eclipse reports still don't line up with the official timeline. The patch doesn't even work.
Okay, so let's zoom in. Let's debug a single specific line of code to see this glitch in action. We're opening the case file on the historian Thucydides and his very famous account of eclipses during the Peloponnesian War.
The scene is set in ancient Greece. It's the epic war between Athens and Sparta, officially dated from 431 BC. The key data we're looking at comes from a primary source, a guy who was supposedly writing it all down as it was happening.
Now, Thucydides gives us very specific parameters for our search. These are the test conditions. He describes a total solar eclipse, one where the sun became a crescent and you could actually see the stars come out. He then gives us a clear sequence, another solar eclipse 7 years later, and then a lunar eclipse 11 years after that.
And this right here is where the glitch becomes glaringly obvious. The eclipse that's calculated for the official date, it's just a partial one over Greece, not even close to total. Stars would not have been visible. But when we run the calculation forward 1123 years to 693 AD, we get a perfect match, a total eclipse right over the region, exactly as the man described. Let's just break it down side by side. The official date gives us a partial eclipse, no stars, and it absolutely requires that delta t patch just to be in the right neighborhood. The proposed date of 693 AD, total eclipse, stars visible, and here's the best part. It requires no artificial patch. It just fits the raw data perfectly.
Now, the crucial point here is this isn't just one isolated bug, one weird line of code. No, this is a sign of a deep, systemic flaw running through the entire historical operating system.
Because when we run the same diagnostic on hundreds of other ancient eclipse reports, the same patterns just keep popping up. We start to see these consistent, predictable time shifts, which suggest that entire blocks of historical code have been copied and pasted into the wrong place.
For ancient Greek history, the data consistently points to a forward shift of about 1123 years. That Thucydides eclipse, it's not an outlier, it's the norm.
The pattern just keeps going. When we look at ancient Roman history, we find the different but just as consistent shift. Here, the astronomical data lines up beautifully when events are moved forward by 781 years.
And again, for events that are officially dated to the 5th and 6th centuries, we see another distinct pattern, a shift of 521 years. You see? These aren't random errors. They are layered, systematic bugs in the code. So the big question is, where did all this systemic corruption come from? To find out, we have to trace the bug all the way back to its source, to the foundational database that the entire chronological system is built on.
And this is it. This is the bedrock.
The entire timeline for all of Greco-Roman antiquity is anchored by astronomical observations recorded on these little Babylonian cuneiform tablets. Without them, the whole chronology just floats away. It has no firm astronomical anchor at all.
But here's the thing. When you look at the database itself, there are these huge, gaping, unexplained holes in the data. The Babylonians supposedly mastered recording eclipses, and then the skill just vanished for nearly 1,000 years, only to magically reappear in the exact same region with the Arabs. So how does an entire civilization master a complex science and then just forget it for a millennium?
And the audit flags just keep popping up. Think about this. These absolutely crucial tablets were only found in the 19th century, right at the exact moment technology made it possible to back-calculate eclipses and tell excavators precisely what to look for. And since that initial shopping tour by museums, no new astronomical tablets have been found. So how solid is this foundation really?
Which brings us to our final, chilling question. If the astronomical anchors are in the wrong place and all the timestamps are off, it forces us to ask, is the version of ancient history we all know just a ghost, a phantom narrative running on a corrupted machine? Now that is a thought to debug on your own.